And welcome back to the Ford Sports Sunday. It is an honor and a pleasure to have Jack Corrigan here today. So many games that I listened to. You do the Indians games for years, and then to go on to the Rockies. But now you've got some special stuff going on. You're writing a book. And I can't let you walk off the set tonight without talking about Brian Hoyer, who you were an assistant football coach when he was at Ignatius. Jack, welcome back home. It's
Thanks,
great
Andy.
to see you.
I appreciate it. I mean, you know, I'm never away from Cleveland. A lot of family and friends, obviously, still here. So, I mean, I love coming back. I wish it was a little more regular, but we'll take the interleague opportunities whenever we can.
All right. So I hope you had a great weekend back home. I do want to talk about this first because I think it's fascinating. I know you already wrote one book about baseball, but now you've got a book coming out. Night of Destiny, and your family is such a powerful name here in Northeast Ohio. Your dad was a judge, and I think a lot of people know that, but you've got a story in a new book coming out that is really neat, and I don't know that people can fully appreciate in a 3-minute interview here, but I'm excited to have you talk to folks about it.
Well, I appreciate it, Andy. You know, it's a tribute to Dad, and we're in the time frame. We're coming up on the 70th anniversary of D-Day and the Battle of the Bulge later in the year, and there aren't many of that greatest generation left. Dad has passed away, but this was an event he was involved in on Christmas Eve when a troop ship was sunk just outside of Sherbrooke Harbor, and through all sort of convoluted mistakes, the boat sank in sight of the harbor, and 900 U.S. soldiers perished, and Dad was part of a rescue squad that tried to fish out survivors and victims from the water that night and into Christmas Day. And he had written a long letter to my grandmother, his mother, about the whole process. Never sent the letter, but we all knew about it, my 6 brothers and sisters. And in the last year of his life, I sat down with him. We started talking about his Army experience, and out of that, the germination began of this book, which I think talks a lot about the sacrifices made by so many people in big events as well as small events.
You talked about the greatest generation, and to hear some of the stories, and I've heard it in my own family as well, to talk about, even just to talk about it. I mean, really, because those guys never really talked about the war stories when they came back home. And for you, and a father-son, and I think about Father's Day coming up, how special that must have been to talk to your dad about something that no one really knew about.
Well, and the irony of it, he came out in the last year of his life. He and my mother had come out to Denver for the All-Star break. And we were just sitting on the back porch of the house, and from lunchtime into my wife saying, hey, it's time for dinner, that's all we talked about. And so many things that I never knew at all, not only about the particular event that's the basis of the story, but a lot of the things that happened to him when he landed on Omaha 3 days after D-Day, right through the end of the war. Pretty remarkable for so many of us who have a family connection at some point to what those people accomplished. And I think the book is also good because it even looks at the German side of the process and of the perspective of the guys who perished and survived on the troop ship.
All right, so it's factually based, but it's fictional in the way you tell the story.
Yeah, you know, the great thing of our jobs, you know, I mean, we're storytellers, or we like to think we're storytellers. And after the first book, Warning Track, I really got into the idea of using some of the good Lord's skills that he gave me to tell a story and put it on paper. And I'd been a history major as an undergraduate, so all this stuff fired me up as well. And in my spare time around the baseball season and other things, started working on the book, and here it is in time for the D-Day anniversary and Father's Day and all those things. And as I said, you know, ultimately a tribute to my dad, my uncles, all the people who served in World War II, really on both sides. That I think it's a tribute, it's an honor to be able to tell their story.
All right, and the book is available, will be available on Amazon first?
It will be available on Amazon first, you know, in ebook formats. We're hopeful by D-Day or shortly thereafter the hard copies will be out. And you know, if I'll give you a web address they can use as well. But yeah, we're hopeful. You know, in this business, if your name's not Ludlum or King or something like that, you're not out to make money. It's really to tell the story of an event that not many people know about.
All right, I want to switch gears a little bit. I do want to talk baseball with you, but I do think it's interesting that one of your former players, when you were an assistant coach at St. Ignatius, Brian Hoyer, is now battling and is the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. I mean, Brian's a great young man, and I think he's deserved this shot. I mean, I'm watching the game with the Bills and was heartbroken when he got hurt and knew his family. We've stayed in touch through the years, and you know that even though that team didn't win at Ignatius, Brian was a junior quarterback. Anthony Gonzalez, who of course at Ohio State and in the NFL till his knee gave out, they were on that final team that I helped Chuck Kyle coach, and my brother Dan on that staff as well, and a lot of friends. So, you know, I'm rooting for Brian. Johnny Manziel's a wonderful young quarterback with great opportunity, I think. But, you know, Brian deserves a chance, and I think what he showed last year, he's certainly capable of doing that over a full season.
Are you doing any coaching in Colorado?
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, okay,
helping a high school there a little bit. Same kind of thing. Once baseball ends, I go back to my football roots and coaching wide receivers at Regis Jesuit, and we're hoping in our first game, people love this, our first game's against Cherry Creek High School. Dave Logan is the head coach of Cherry Creek High School.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How about Coach Kyle himself? I mean, you think about the impact that he's had on not only so many players, but assistant coaches and all the families that have gone through St. Ignatius.
Cheeks and I have been friends since he was a sophomore and I was a freshman on the track team at Ignatius. And we've been friends for almost 40 years. I mean, it's just he's the essence of what you want high school teachers / coaches to be. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the impact on not just the kids he's coached and taught, but his peers and the parents of those kids. You know, that's the sustainability of it, because he's so true to who he is, and that's what I love about him.
All right, let's talk a little baseball now. You spent the weekend here in Cleveland watching the Indians. What's your perspective of the Indians right now, being removed for it? Which, how many years now?
This is 12 years.
12 years away from the Indians now. And you know, when you're traveling National League City, sometimes it's easy to get bogged down on the National League side and not see what's going on. But just what are your thoughts on the Indians right now?
Well, you know, obviously, and the Rockies are going through some of the same things. You know, mid-market teams, when you get injuries in certain spots, they're hard to overcome. You know, perhaps maybe in reflection now, Terry got them to overachieve a little bit last year. They got one of the great people in baseball, and Jason Giambi. I love G. He's one of my favorites. And Tito, I remember in that '88 season when he played with the Indians with John Farrell and Ronnie Washington and Buddy Black. And so we still reminisce about those things. You know, I think they've got a run in them because there is some talent. I love Jason Kipnis. I think Corey Kluber's got a chance to be really good. And I like what Michael Bradley's become. You know, like I said, Tito will figure out a way to get them charged up again. And anytime I see Sandy Alomar, it's always a good weekend.
Yeah, when you look back at the 90s, what goes through your mind?
You know, I regret that maybe one of the best teams ever, that '95 team, didn't win a World Series. Walt Weiss, who played during that stretch, who's the Rockies manager now, to him he says that's the best lineup in the history of the game, in his opinion. And when you look at, I mean, you think of guys like Tommy and Manny Ramirez batting 7th and 8th and Sandy batting 9th at times, it's remarkable to consider. But we know, for all Cleveland fans, Joe Brinkman's strike zone in Game 6 did them no favors. But I loved the time. Mike Hegan, may rest in peace, it was like sitting next to a baseball encyclopedia. You know, and Herb Score, another one, and Tom Hamilton and I still stay in touch. You know, Hammy's one of the best in our business, so it's always in the fabric. I think people, if on satellite radio or whatever, tune into a Rockies game, they're hearing Joe Tate and Herb Score and Tom Hamilton and Mike Hegan. All of my friends are part of what I'm still doing.
You're still a part of Cleveland, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Andy.
And make sure you check out the book. Again, the book is The Night of Destiny, 24 December 1944, Amazon.com. And if you need more information, check us out on Newsnet5.com. We're back with more of the Ford Sports Sunday right after this.